Good evening, you're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Farhana Sheikh. Torrential rains have worsened the flood situation in Sabah and Sarawak, with over 6,400 people affected. Sabah recorded the most number of flood victims of over 4,200 across 10 districts, with 37 temporary relief centres open to house victims. Kota Marudu in Sabah recorded the highest number of victims, with 2,360 placed in 8 temporary relocation centres. Meanwhile, Sarawak currently has over 2,100 victims and 31 temporary relief centres opened. The flood involves 6 districts in Sarawak, with Kuching, Sibu and Samarahan housing most flood victims. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has directed the National Disaster Management Agency (NADMA) to strengthen coordination across all federal and state agency resources. He says that the top priority for now is the welfare of flood victims and the safety of residents in the affected areas. He added that Squad Ehsan Madani would be deployed to assist flood victims at relief centres and would be on standby for post-flood operations. Meanwhile, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said all federal and state disaster relief assets have been mobilised to 13 flood-hit areas in Sarawak. He noted that so far, more than 50 relief centres have been activated to house victims, and authorities are assessing the need for bailey bridges in areas where transport links have been affected. An early warning system is also in place to provide 3 days' notice before high tides to aid in evacuation efforts. Zaid highlighted that 13 meteorological stations in Sarawak had recorded daily rainfall averages exceeding 20 millimetres. In other news, police have arrested 4 men in connection with an incident in which 2 vehicles rammed into a group of people outside a nightclub in Jalan Klang Lama, Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur Deputy Police Chief Azri Akmar Ayub says the incident, which saw 2 people injured, was linked to an earlier dispute between the suspects and the victims. A video of the incident widely shared on social media shows the 2 vehicles coming out of a side lane before driving into the people standing by the side of the road in front of a building. The vehicles then make a U-turn and drive against the flow of traffic before swerving to target the same group. Police are investigating the case under Section 307 of the Penal Code for attempted murder. In a prior statement, Brickville's OCPD Assistant Commissioner Ku Mashariman Ku Mahmud said a 24-year-old man lodged a police report over the incident. The Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, under the Ministry of Digital, is driving efforts to accelerate the digital transformation of SMEs nationwide. We speak to Datuk William Ng, National President of Samantha, on what SMEs truly need to overcome industry-specific challenges in adopting and scaling digital transformation.
The adoption among our SMEs are still not very high. I think the challenge here is that digital adoption actually is not just about cost and technical expertise. It's also the mindset and also literacy of the SME as well. So additionally, if we look at many of our SMEs, especially the smaller ones, they are either not very highly educated or they are from the older generation. So this becomes a challenge of the mindset and of literacy, and not just of cost and technical knowledge to adopt digitalization. So a lot of what is being done today by the government, by the society, by the business and industry is really to finance digitalization for SMEs and then to match them with vendors and consultants. But again, as we've discovered, after 5 years of championing this during the pandemic and after the pandemic, the government really to go beyond just financing to go on the ground and help. I think the time for us to encourage SMEs to go digital is over. I think it is enough of encouragement. We keep saying that, please go, please go. I think it is time now to really do massive on-ground education and handholding by really mobilizing the government machinery at all levels, whether it's local council, whether it's the MPs and the hundreds of ADUNS officers that we have, whether it is working with associations, hawker associations, or even SME associations like Samantha.
Williams said it is also important to ensure that policymakers are engaging with SMEs with the correct narrative to go digital.
I think one of the mindset change is not just among the SMEs, but also in terms of policy makers and the government themselves, that the immediate goal for digitalization should not be about expanding the market, going to e-commerce and so on. Otherwise, you're going to be misleading the SMEs into spending on advertisements online as well as doing the e-commerce even before they're ready. I think the narrative should be to try and say that digitalization should be about efficiency and productivity. What can we do to make our processes more streamlined, reduce errors, cut down the reliance on workers in general, and essentially make our businesses more profitable. So if you can change the narrative that digitalization is about efficiency, about productivity, and therefore profitability, I think this will help the SMEs understand it better and then embark on digitalization sooner and faster.
We'll go for a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Kerap menggaruk kulit kepala disebabkan keluh mumur, masalahnya lebih mendalam. Gunalah Head and Shoulders menembusi 5 lapisan untuk membasmi keluh mumur dan kegatalan. Bebas keluh mumur sehingga 100%. Head and Shoulders diuji secara dermatologi.
Start hari ini, aku netu tepat aku sendiri.
Kapal High Council. Early access di rumah. Sewa dan stream on demand atau sila ke saluran 480.
Welcome back. An airliner carrying 64 people crashed into the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. after it collided mid-air with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. Local media reports more than 30 bodies have been recovered from the river so far. Authorities warn that search and rescue efforts will likely take days. The collision occurred as an American Airlines passenger jet traveling from Wichita, Kansas, was on approach to land at Regent Washington National Airport at around 9 p.m. local time. Radio communications between the air traffic control tower and the Black Hawk showed the helicopter crew knew the plane was in the vicinity. The helicopter on a training flight was carrying 3 soldiers, while American figure skaters, coaches, and family members were among the passengers on board the American Airlines flight. Witnesses say they saw sparks and flashes when the mid-air collision happened. Multiple federal and local agencies are involved in the rescue mission, with about 300 responders battling harsh conditions and near-freezing temperatures to search for possible survivors in the Potomac River. South Korean authorities have retrieved the black boxes from the Air Busan passenger plane that caught fire on Tuesday at Gimye International Airport in Busan. Authorities are now preparing to launch a detailed investigation into the incident. The cause of the blaze remains unclear, but speculations point to a portable battery stowed in an overhead bin in the rear left section of the plane. Some passengers have reportedly seen flames along with crackling sounds and smoke coming from the area. A similar occurrence happened in January, where a fire broke out on an Air Busan plane before takeoff due to a portable battery carried by a passenger, fueling calls for stricter carry-on regulations. At 10:15 p.m. on Tuesday, Air Busan Airbus A321-200 bound for Hong Kong caught fire at its tail before takeoff, forcing the evacuation of 176 people. The incident comes less than a month after the Jeju air crash at Muan International Airport, South Korea's deadliest aviation disaster. Hamas has freed 8 captives in Gaza, including 3 Israelis and 5 Thai nationals, while Israel is scheduled to release 110 Palestinian prisoners, including 30 children. The exchange is the 3rd release of hostages since the ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel began on January 19th. A female Israeli soldier, Agam Berger, was seen waving at the crowd from a podium in Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza before being handed to the Red Cross. She was released alongside 2 other Israeli civilians, Gadi Moses and Arbal Yahud, and 5 Thai nationals who were taken in the October 7th attacks in 2023. As part of the ceasefire deal, Hamas committed to freeing at least 33 of the remaining 97 hostages in Gaza in exchange for the release of over 1,500 Palestinians jailed by Israel. Over in the U.S., President Donald Trump has ordered the construction of a migrant detention facility at Guantanamo Bay, capable of holding up to 30,000 people. He says the facility, separate from the high-security military prison on the U.S. Navy base in Cuba, would house the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people.
Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people. Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them because we don't want them coming back, so we're going to send them out to Guantanamo.
The U.S. already operates a migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay, which has been used for decades to detain Haitians and Cubans intercepted at sea. Guantanamo Bay has long been controversial. The military prison, established in 2002 under President George W. Bush to hold foreign terrorism suspects, has faced criticism over indefinite detention and harsh interrogation methods. While Trump's predecessors, Barack Obama and Joe Biden, sought to close the prison, Trump has vowed to keep it open. Today, only 15 detainees remain. In Syria, Ahmad al-Shara, the leader of the main rebel group who led the overthrow of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad, has been named Syria's transitional president. The military command says Shara has been given authority to form a temporary legislative council, while the Syrian constitution has been suspended. Addressing a conference, Shara said his top priority is filling the power vacuum in a legitimate and legal way. He also announced the immediate dissolution of all military factions and revolutionary political bodies with their integration into state institutions. Shara pledged a full political transition, including a national conference, an inclusive government, and eventual elections, which he says could take up to 4 years. Once a member of Al-Qaeda, his rebel group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham broke away from the terrorist network in 2016 to lead the fight against Assad. Also known as Abu Muhammad al-Golani, Shara was a shadowy figure who kept largely out of the public eye during Syria's 13-year civil war. Since breaking ties with Al-Qaeda, Shara has sought to portray himself as a more moderate leader, vowing to protect Syria's religious and ethnic minorities. Meanwhile, authorities in Japan have asked 1.2 million residents to reduce water use as efforts continue to rescue a truck driver trapped in a massive sinkhole. The sinkhole, which appeared suddenly during the morning rush hour on Tuesday in Yashio, swallowed a lorry. Water from sewage has been seeping into the area, complicating rescue efforts. A Saitama Prefecture official said they are asking residents to limit non-essential water use, including showers and laundry, to prevent further complications. Rescue efforts have also been hampered by unstable ground around the hole and a second largest sinkhole that formed. No contact has been had with the 74-year-old truck driver since Tuesday noon, and rescuers have been working around the clock to reach him. Authorities warn the situation could take time to resolve, as the sinkhole has grown. The danger of further collapses means heavy machinery cannot be used. That wraps up AWANI tonight. Check out our web portal, keeping you informed on the critical events shaping our world all in one place at international.astroawani.com. That's all for now. I'm Farhana Sheikh. Thank you for watching and good night.